Alright guys, welcome back to another Yoast Built video. And in the last video, as we tore apart the F20B, I said the basic goal for the F20B was to end up racing this. This is our K24 db8 4-door GSR Integra 1994. Let me flip the camera around here and I'll show you a little more about this car. So if you go about 9-10 months back on the YouTube channel, you will see the 4-door GSR with a K24 swap. Well, since then, this is now one of my daily drivers. It has RPF 1s, it has Coney orange shocks, it has H&R lowering springs, it has window tint all the way around, 15%. I did blow out the muffler, so it's a little louder than normal. It now has an exhaust leak from the header. The RPF ones had 205 5015s on them. Those were really worn out, so I put these 195 5515s that I had laying around. But before that, I had a set of 195 60s. With the H&R lowering springs and the Coney shocks, they rubbed the top of the strut tower, the edge where they seam weld the car together. So I had to trim that. I had to trim the inner fender wells. This car has all the original inner fender wells. It has the rear mud flaps. It's literally K24 from an 04 TSX RBC eBay header. It's an all original GSR car, so it has the tan on green interior. Everything's there. Sunroof works. It does have the hybrid racing no cut shifter. As a daily driver, of course, you need some music. It has a L5 sub. Has a little amplifier right there. It's a 4-door 94 GSR, basic lowering springs, like I said. Another thing is, once I actually started putting miles on this car, the brakes started to feel real funny. So it has power stop drilled and slotted front and rear rotors with the power stop pads to go with it. I don't remember if I had the lip in the last video. But the K24 has power steering and AC. I have both of the kits. There's the AC lines, there's the power steering. The only problem I've had with this so far is the starter went out. The starter started making funny noise. It does have a ACT clutch in it, a set of SRT4 injectors in it, which are weird because Hondas run 43 PSI and SRT4s run 50 PSI, so the adjustable regulator helps you get the fuel pressure up to 50 PSI, but this car still has the stock Honda pump in it. It runs 87 octane and 93. It has a Honda S300 K Pro in it, so it allows you to keep the timing safe and do all the tuning you saw on the dyno. The car, I actually haven't put it back on the dyno. I should, to see what it really makes. It has a RSX Type S 6-speed in it. And now that you know everything about it, let's go for a drive. Alright guys, now that we're inside, this is the stock interior. It has the hybrid shifter. If you guys buy one of these hybrid no-cut shifters where you can keep your center console and everything, it is really interesting to set it up. And they shift pretty good 1, 2, 3, and 4, but 5 and 6 are pretty interesting to find. I'm pretty sure it's because it's meant for 5-speed and 6-speed cars, but starts like any normal car. This car does have ABS, so the ABS light comes on, goes off. The maintenance light comes on and goes off. But once you have all the lights and everything on, it's just like any other car. As you guys see, there's snow outside. And the speedo doesn't work. I still haven't went through the emulator and the ECU to set up the speedo, but you'll see it says 0 the whole time, even though we're in 4th gear. And the temperature gauge on this cluster died. I swapped over to another cluster. The temperature gauge still works, just this cluster's temperature gauge has died. So basically, in the 9 months or 8 months that I've been daily driving this thing, I don't have a temperature gauge, but I do have the check engine light in the Honda set to come on if it goes over 210 degrees. So if you beat it too much and it goes over 210, the check engine light will come on to let you know. But it does have a full-size hybrid radiator and hoses, so it doesn't ever really get hot. But we're you're back here on the mountain roads behind my house. This is actually a mountain. This is, I believe, Glen Iron Mountain, some mountain. And you see, it drives like any other normal Acura Integra. The H&R lowering springs and the Koni shocks are amazing. They drive well. I did have to put 1/2-inch front spacers to stop them from bottoming out. So the rear drives good, never hit anything, but the front did bottom out a little bit, and it would still hit the upper strut towers. So little 1/2-inch rubber spacer blocks, and that solved that issue. So other than obviously the 6-speed and always being at 3,000 RPMs, I believe 3,000 RPMs with this tire in 6th gear is only 62 miles an hour, 63 miles an hour. So anywhere you drive, you're at $3,000. 45 miles an hour is $2,000. And one day I'll actually go through the emulator and set up the speedo so that it actually has a proper speedometer, which I'll probably do that before we get to racing. This versus the EK. But if you guys have ever wondered what a bone stock 6-speed K24 nice little vtec crossover. Like I said, for a daily driver, this thing's pretty fun. Got into a few runs with like modded Subarus and stuff like that, and it keeps up pretty well. I did go to the track with it. I think it went low 14s at like 97 or 98 miles an hour. So for a bone stock bad version of a K24 with literal full exhaust, 2.5-inch with 2 mufflers, she does pretty well. Alright guys, so now that I've updated you on the car, we're going to try to do a first gear roll. It's going to spin. Well, first gear roll turned into a 3rd gear burnout. As you guys see, the roads are a little damp. We still have snow, so the little 195 all seasons don't do that great. I do plan on getting some better tires for it. I do have some 225/50 Mickey Thompsons that we can put on it, and I also have another set we can put on the EK. So if we go to the track, we'll have equal tires. Now the EK does not have an LSD transmission. This does have a RSX 6-speed LSD, so that will be an advantage for this. This car also has a K24, whereas the EK is only going to have a 2-liter F20B. So that is another advantage for the Integra. But the Integra is full interior, full weight, sub, full exhaust, that's 2.5-inch, whereas the EK will be full interior, full weight, 3-inch exhaust, so it should be able to breathe a little better up top. The EK is also on the E85. I do plan on swapping it to pump gas, but we might leave it on E85 for the race or racing, and then once I'm done with that, I'll swap it back to pump gas. Alright, let's try another first gear roll. 2nd gear, 3rd gear. There we go, now we are trying. Well, the nice thing about the speedo not working is you don't know how fast I'm actually going. But if you just do some math and you figure out that was 5th gear and it was still revving and pulling pretty hard, you can tell the last part mounts are kind of a little vibrating because you can see the camera starts shaking really bad. But this was just a quick update video on the K24 that's bone stock. As you see, I'm only revving it to like 7,500 RPMs. RSX 6-speed, you can see the gearing is incredibly short. Like, you have to go through the gears really, really fast. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know, once I get the F20B running and we tune it and it makes somewhere in the 200 horsepower range versus a 200 horsepower Integra with a 6-speed, who do you think will win? Let me know down in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and hopefully Central Pennsylvania enjoys all the VTEC.